My last video on my experience with DEI in the game industry went extremely viral. This video is a follow-up to the aftermath in which I want to address the most common comments and questions that I've been receiving. Salam, my name is Mustafa. I am the solo developer and founder of Sabar Path, not Saber Path. In the past, I worked at Treyarch during the development of Black Ops 4, and I worked at Zwift on their indoors cycling game. Currently, I develop and publish small games on Steam, such as Nexus Defenders, which is a narrative-driven tower defense game, and Beware Tomorrow, which is a first-person stealth horror game which is currently in development. First of all, I want to welcome all the new subscribers and thank you for all the support. I'm surprised as to how overwhelmingly positive the majority of the people have been. There's been lots of people who have been reaching out to me on the various social media platforms, lots of game developers reaching out to me. With how viral the video was going, I was afraid that some of my former coworkers and connections would see the video and then have a negative view on me and would want to cut ties with me. Multiple former coworkers reached out to me, and surprisingly, they agree with me. So to me, that shows that there are lots and lots of people within the game industry who have had similar experiences or agree with my views with DEI in the game industry, but they prefer to be quiet because of fear of cancel culture or fear of losing their jobs or fear of being blacklisted from the game industry. That's also another thing that I took in consideration. There's a large possibility that I'm never going to be able to get hired in the game industry again. There's also a possibility that I'm not going to be able to find a publisher for my indie games. That's just going to encourage me more to press forward with my personal projects and to self-publish my games. Despite the majority of the comments being supportive, it was extremely overwhelming. Just having so many voices reach out to me at once was just so much for me to process. I now understand why the developer of Flappy Bird pulled the game from the App Store and disappeared from the internet. It's just a really overwhelming experience to just have a flood of people out of nowhere when we're not used to this. I want to address one of the most common comments I've been getting in that last video. There seems to be two general responses I've been getting as far as my statements on team synergy and hiring a coworker that I worked with. On one side, I'm getting a lot of people saying that team synergy does count as a merit, and on the other side, a good number of people who accused me of favoritism and nepotism in the workplace. I'm going to address the former first. The reason why I don't consider team synergy as a merit is because generally merits are things that are quantifiable, things that you can list off on your resume, such as your job experience, your hard skills, your technical skills, your education, any awards or accomplishments that you've met. When it comes to team synergy, there are so many factors that you don't necessarily put on a resume, such as personality, temperament, the ability to disagree and stay cordial, not being a pushover, a yes man, or too agreeable. At the same time, not being too aggressive or argumentative, having the ability to show some empathy. All those things are important when it comes to team synergy. This is the reason why I didn't really consider it a merit. I understand a lot of you were saying, yes, team synergy is a merit. So even though we disagree on what counts as merit, I think it's more important that we agree that team synergy is important in the hiring process because it's part of risk management. This is why most corporations have some sort of a referral program, because it's part of the risk assessment to hire somebody that a current employee can vouch for as a good personality, rather than take a risk on somebody that no one at the company knows. To address the people who accused me of nepotism or favoritism, I read a lot of these comments. The vast majority of these comments seem to just twist my words or even quote me completely incorrect, me adding words that I never even said. There is a high possibility that a lot of these comments might be just trolls or bots, but just about any adult who has worked in some sort of a team or group setting, I'm sure many people who have worked jobs can think of at least one person they worked with who's competent at their job, but also hard to work with due to their bad personality. And that was my main point, that personality is important when it comes to the hiring process. It's part of risk assessment. If you've worked with a coworker with a bad personality, leave a comment below and tell me about it. The next thing I want to cover is the point I made about no one being born better than anyone else. In Asmongold's reaction to my video, he mentioned that people can be born taller, stronger, more attractive. And I don't disagree with this. Yes, people can be born with all sorts of advantages, including cognitive advantages. But that wasn't the point I was trying to make. I wasn't saying that everyone is born equally as far as our bodies and minds. What I was more referring to is our inherent value. I don't believe in someone being born in a noble family is better than someone who was born in a family of peasants. I reject the concept of having a class system in a society in which people who are born into the lower class aren't even allowed to speak towards the people of the higher class. This is what I'm referring to, and I denounce that any form of class system that makes anyone better or worse than anyone else. Another common question I've been getting is, what did I do with Black Ops 4? To be completely transparent, I worked at Treyarch as a contractor. I did not work for Treyarch. While I was at Treyarch, I did administration for 3 years. This is a unique role in which I was able to interact with almost every employee in all the teams of the studio. This even includes the studio heads. I made a lot of good connections while I was at Treyarch, and I liked most of the coworkers that I worked with. I saw a lot of criticism about plugging my game in my last video. I even saw some game developers who were very angry at me and said that I should promote my game on its own merit and I shouldn't use trending topics to promote my game. I highly disagree with this method, especially with the quantity of games that are released on a daily basis. There is something like 14,000 games that were released on Steam just last year alone. It's very easy for a game to be released and then it just disappears into the void. And a lot of these more successful indie games, they leverage their connections with the game industry, such as with these larger blogs and gaming websites to help promote their games. It's very difficult to just show your game online and then it becomes a financial success. If you have a brand new game, a brand new IP, and you post a trailer or a gameplay video onto YouTube, it's most likely not going to get views because YouTube works off of an algorithm. The recommended feed works off of trending videos. If a video isn't found on the recommended feed, it's usually found through a search term. Your brand new game, your brand new IP is not going to be found through a search term because no one knows of your game. The goal with this channel is to build an audience and to build a brand for Suburpath. So I'm going to continue promoting my games. There will be times in which I'm going to seamlessly integrate discussion of my games with the topic. For example, if the topic is about character development, I can talk about the character development in my games. But then there's going to be times where I can't really integrate it as well and it's just going to come off more as an ad. And if you don't like that, you can always skip through that portion of the video because I leave timestamps. And of course, I'll always leave links to my game in the description below for anyone who's interested in checking them out or adding them to their wish list. With that said, I want to bring videos of value. With me covering trending topics, there's going to be a lot of people covering these topics. A lot of them don't have a lot of value to their content. Like they'll say, this game is bad because it's woke, and they won't actually say anything of inherent value. My goal is to try to bring some sort of value and bring in my experience as a game developer to pinpoint specific issues and propose solutions to those issues. This is why I don't like using the term woke in my videos. Because some people say this game is woke and then you don't really understand why the game is bad because they're not being specific about what makes the game bad. And also, woke is like an umbrella term that means many different things. And when you use a slang term that means many different things, the person receiving the message might not understand what specifically you're referring to. I want to address specific things that are leading to failures. That way we could talk about specific solutions. And I think that brings more value to the discussion to talk about these specific problems and solutions rather than using umbrella terms that end up meaning nothing and doesn't push the discussion forward. So my goal is to make videos that bring some sort of value, analyzing the design of the characters, gameplay, the storytelling, and these are topics that I like to discuss. In fact, the next video that I'm working on is going to be comparing two characters from two different games and explaining why one of them works and the other one doesn't. A lot of people have been reaching out to me regarding job opportunities and internships. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to currently hire additional help. Cyberpath is still in its early stages, and with only one game on the market that hasn't yet gained significant traction, my financial situation doesn't allow for expansion at the time. I don't foresee hiring being a possibility within the current year. In the future, I do plan on hiring people, but that might be a while. Also, for the people who are offering to volunteer help for free, I prefer not to accept volunteer work. I believe in properly compensating people for their time, and I don't want to get into a situation where someone puts a lot of time for me and I haven't been able to compensate them properly. This just seems like an easy way to open the doors for controversy and for Cyberpath to fall apart. I think the right thing for me to do is only hire people once I'm financially able to do so. Before I close the video, I want to address one last point, and that is my Islamic beliefs. Yes, I am a Muslim. Sabr, not saber. Sabr is an Islamic word. It's a trait that means being steadfast and having perseverance during hardship. The reason why I named my brand Cyberpath is to constantly remind myself about my values. I do wear my religion on my sleeve, but my plan isn't to be heavy-handed or lecturing with my values. When I was very young, my father told me that in this country, the United States, most people that I'm going to interact with have never interacted with a Muslim before. They either know very few Muslims or I'd be the only Muslim that they would know. He told me that it's important for me to understand that I am an ambassador for my religion. An ambassador's role is not to lecture others, but to build connections. I think generally, people like to listen to those who have strong opinions. They just don't like being preached to by people who have strongly differing opinions. And that's not my goal. My goal is not to preach or try to convert you. But I do plan on sharing my perspectives, my opinions, and my experiences on this channel. Again, I want to welcome all the new subscribers and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate all of you who have been leaving very positive comments. If you got this far in the video, I'd really appreciate if you give the video a like. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when a new video comes out. Also, Beware Tomorrow is still in development. Add that game to your wish list. Thank you for getting this far in the video. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Take care. Salam.